welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. It's turned out to be a disappointing week. It was a very challenging week for those who were long on the indices, especially traders who also saw the September series come to an end. And well, with that, we've actually seen a decline of as much as 2% for the Nifty through the course of the week. And while there are very few gainers on the Nifty in this week, we do have gains for TCS and Infosys of as much as nearly 4%, and that's followed by Reliance Industries. And it is essentially these three heavyweights, along with HDFC Bank, which has kept the markets in check to a certain extent. However, what is also bearing down on the Nifty as well as the Sensex is the likes of, well, Tata Motors, Eicher Motors, Yes Bank and Indiabulls Housing Finance, not a part of the Sensex, but they are a part of the Nifty. And those stocks have seen sharp cuts of anywhere between 13 to as much as 20% through the course of the week. To Indiabulls Housing Finance, the largest loser here, down 19.5% to be precise. Let's talk about the trade setup today then. And on the NSE 500, again, it's not much of a surprise when you consider that we just have one gainer for 4 losers, and on the losing end, Infibeam Avenues, that declines by as much as 71%, closing at 58. Just yesterday, it was trading above the mark of 200. Eros International, Lakshmi Vilas Bank, Jain Irrigation, Indiabulls, Welspun Corp, JSPL, KPIT. There is a whole long list of mid-cap stocks out there which are losing well over 10% in today's day of trade. Well, we do have a handful of gainers. Star Cements is one of them, which advanced by around 19%. Johnson Controls, Hitachi, Indian Hotels, Group Finance, and Canfin Homes, to a certain extent, bucking the trend. But today's day of trade will be remembered as the day where we did see substantial cuts, not only in the benchmark indices but broader markets as well. And it also marks a relatively disappointing week for those who are long in the markets. But let's bring in our markets editor Neeraj Shah to give us his view as well. Neeraj, what have you made of trade this week?
This number today, the quantum of the fall belies the fact that the mid cap and the small cap end of the market, Agam, is getting butchered, right? Yes. 5% down for the Nifty small cap index, and something that I picked up from Yatin when he spoke about it a month ago, the divergence between the large caps and the mid caps, and just at historic highs, it just gives away the kind of selling that's happening. I mean, it's not just you don't call it the beauty, but really the trend of this market currently, wherein good quality names, companies which are promoting growth, are talking about growth being very, very robust in the near term, are also getting punished, and they are not necessarily within the banking and the financial system. Right. And therefore not just rate sensitive. Today's your Bharti Airtel getting punished about 5% in trade, so sharp falls coming in out there. L&T down about 4%. I can understand autos. It'll be very, very interesting next week when the auto sales numbers come out and some of these managements talk to us about what is their verdict about how growth is looking like, and whether the discounts that have come out ahead of the Shraddh period are only restricted to these 15 days, or do they see a slowdown of sorts coming in, and some worries on that front. So that's something you watch out for. The only thing I can say is that I know a lot of fears are about the kind of freeze, if you can call it that, in the credit markets. Right. Thus far, all the conversations that we've had off-air and on-air, off-record and on-record, with NBFCs, IFL was there on air today. Right. No issues. They've raised money. HDFC has raised money. Large banks, PSU banks, are lending money to NBFCs as well, albeit at a higher coupon. So while there is a problem, there's no freeze as yet in the system. So it's a lot of worry. The next 10 days is very critical from a credit market perspective. And mind you, if that has a problem, then this market will have a problem. Much smaller market in size, but will have a problem. But until now, there is not a problem. But the screen is somehow telling you something else. Right. Well, we're going to have to wait and watch as to what that's factoring in. But credit market is an important factor here, Neeraj. Thank you for joining us and giving us that perspective. But what about the technicals? Given the fact that we've seen the Nifty close below, well, or around the mark of 10,900, does this mean concerns for the markets? This is what our technical analysts are telling us about. Listen in.
the pattern which have formed is the lower highs formation. If we take about the Nifty swing low, the previous swing low was 10,557. That was made on the June 28th. From there was a one-way rally to the level of 11,760. That was the all-time high. That was made on 28th of August. So if we draw a Fibonacci retracement, so somewhere around 78.6, somewhere Fibonacci retracement value comes around 10,800. So I'm keenly watching this 10,800 zone to not be get broken. Anything below it, if it comes, then definitely 10,550 or say 10,557, that is a swing low, would be acting as a support.
Only bad news I have that the trade is on the sell side. I think the market still has not formed a bottom, and eventually 10,866 will break. So I would say that 10,750, 10,700 would be the target going on for the Nifty from here. So anybody wanting to have fresh trades, I think they are on the sell side, and you would be shorting, looking for a target close to 10,700, 10,750 on the Nifty spot, and keeping a stop loss at 11,036.60 on the spot prices, and afraid that the trades are all on the sell side, and the market could actually sell off even more sharply than what we did last month.
Right, let's talk about two stocks then. The first one is Shriram Transport Finance, and we have Yatin Mota joining us to give us the updates on the same. Yatin, what do you have for us?
Well, the stock spiked in the last 15 minutes of trade after Bloomberg News reported that, various private equity investors are in talks to buy stake in, various Shriram Group companies, which includes the like of Shriram Transport Finance as well as Shriram City Union. Now, the Bloomberg report says that we have KKR and Blackstone, which have held preliminary talks with the Shriram Group with respect to buying out stake in various listed entities. Of course, the private equity firms have also, initiated talks with Piramal Enterprises and TPG, since they hold, stakes in Shriram Group, the holding company. We also have holdings coming up, in the way of Shriram Transport as well as Shriram City Union. So probably if you acquire, the stake from Piramal Enterprises, you get exposure to the entire group. Of course, the PE firms are also set to eye Shriram Transport and Shriram City Union merger as well. So of course, the talks are preliminary, but clearly this would mean that there could be some potential unlocking or monetization opportunities for listed entities like Shriram Transport, Shriram City, as well as Piramal Enterprises.
And that's possibly the reason why we have seen that spike. Yatin, thank you for joining us and getting us those details. And of course, perhaps the stock of the day when it comes to the benchmarks was Yes Bank, which took a further knock here. And we have Vishwanath Nair joining us to give us an update on the same. Vishwanath, we've also had some very interesting tweets from Rana Kapoor. But tell us, what are the updates here?
Let's start with what happened yesterday. Right. Yes Bank, actually, they sent out a set of responses to the National Stock Exchange on the basis of some queries that NSE had sent them. The queries themselves were based on a set of complaints that they had received from investors. So they said that in their response, Yes Bank said that while you haven't shared the complaint copy with us, we will be responding to queries. One of the queries specifically pointed at a potential evergreening of loans at Yes Bank, and thereby window dressing the NPA status. Yes Bank says that it does not, it completely denies this allegation and says it does not indulge itself in any kind of window dressing or evergreening. It says that it has been making adequate disclosures as and when required by regulators, and that there is no question of hiding any NPAs. Another important query that came up in this matter was that NSE asked Yes Bank whether they have any dealings with the Three Sisters Family Office, which is a family office that maintains Rana Kapoor's daughter's investments. To that, the bank has said that it does not indulge in any kind of business dealings with that particular entity. The query said that you have been using this family office as an undue sort of beneficiary to try and invest in real estate companies, which is not allowed by banks. To lend to real estate companies. So essentially, Yes Bank also debunked that sort of allegation. Another important thing was about stock market manipulation, stock price manipulation. They said that right before important events like the QIP that Yes Bank conducted 2 years ago, back in September 2016. It actually failed. So Yes Bank pointed out that whenever we've had a situation like that, and especially in September 2016 when we deferred the QIP and there was a considerable volatility in the stock price, we wrote to the stock exchanges, including NSE, seeking some kind of an investigation into the matter. So to blame us for it would be wrong, and we completely deny that we have done any kind of manipulation of the stock. All of that aside, so today again the stock has seen quite a bit of a drop.
I reckon this is despite the clarifications that the bank
Despite the clarification, exactly. So there is considerable uncertainty within the bank about how long Rana Kapoor will continue. Remember that the central bank, RBI, has already said that January 31st is the last date, but the board is seeking more time. The RBI is yet to come back on that. So a bit of uncertainty happening there, plus the new leadership as and when that comes in, who this person is and how capable that person will be to manage the bank. All of these are questions, but in his tweets earlier today, Rana Kapoor pointed out that he believes that the stock is very valuable. He calls them diamonds and said that diamonds are forever, and he is absolutely not selling any of his stock. He said that as and when eventually in my will, I will pass it on to my daughters and then to their children with the instruction that they should not sell it either. So yes, interesting comments coming in from him.
Okay, well, Vishnu, thank you for joining us and getting us those updates on Yes Bank. We continue to track updates here and a lot more stocks that have been rather weak in today's day of trade. We have also ended on a disappointing note, but can we expect some respite next week? Well, let's wait and watch. Have a good weekend. Lots more lined up. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quick and we'll keep bringing you more.